All right, if you're making your own cabling, which I do recommend you do, if you get a bunch of pre-made cables, it just ends up being really annoying, and you're going to have either a bunch coiled up at one end, or at the camera end or the video recorder end, and maybe you need a little more than a 100-foot cable or whatever you got. It just I've been I've done a bunch of these, but it just makes more sense to get a box of cable. It's cheaper, and even if you do have to buy a set of crimpers, it still ends up being cheaper than buying a bunch of pre-made ones. So that's kind of what I suggest, and it's really easy. All right, so we got our cameras. We've got one of these weatherproof sleeves that come with all the cameras. So take these out. Just show you how to set these up. So there's going to be a little ring here, a little weatherproof rubber gasket. So that one goes around to the camera side. On the other end, we've got a thicker gasket, rubber gasket, and it does have a split in it if you needed to put it on the cable, like if you already run it and you don't want to you're not able to put it on the end, you can just open it up and put it the other way as well. So this guy goes on like that. It just runs down the end. I tighten it up a little bit so it won't move too much. And then you're going to take your crimpers, and there's a little cutting area on your crimpers here. So just go down a couple inches, spin it around to cut the sheathing. Sheathing is cut. And then you've got your 8 conductors here. So that piece you just took off, you can just, actually, you know what I typically do here is, so when you do cut the wire with your crimpers, just to confirm you didn't nick any spot on one of your actual conductors, it's not a bad idea to just pull these back. You can give it a little snip on the sheathing with your cutters, and then just take just take it back a couple inches. That way, if you did accidentally cut nick one of your conductors, then it's not a big deal, and you're past that point. So you just cut below where you made your initial cut with the crimpers. Now you've got your 8 conductors. Just take them all the way back. So there's a couple different standards that are used. There's A standard and B standard for these connections. For some reason, I've always used B. It doesn't matter either way, as long as you do one on one end. Whatever you do on one end, do on the same end, and you'll be okay. So B standard is orange, white, orange. Orange, white, orange. And then green, white, blue. Green, white, blue. Blue, white, green. Brown, white, brown. So make sure we take a look here. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. And these connectors are called EZ RJ45. It means they have a pass-through on them. Some of these basically have a block right at the end. These ones allow you to pass them through, and they just have some grooves in the connector that kind of feed these through a little easier. So your clip is always going to be facing down. So we're just going to snip off at the end here. Make sure things are still lined up nicely. Clip is down. and then just feed it through and make sure it seats properly here all the way down. And then one more time, just make sure you have orange, white, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. And then you're just going to twist those. And on these crimpers, they have an RJ11 or RJ12 as your phone, usually your telephone connectors. And then your bigger one is RJ45 is like your network connectors like this for, you know, for computers and cameras and that type of thing. So that goes through, and then you just crimp it down a few times. Typically though, it's got a little cutter on it, so that cuts off the excess, and you're left with a nice RJ45 connector. And then that just connects into your camera. The sleeve pulls over and locks in, and then you can crimp it down. Or so you've got your gasket connector here, you've got a rubber gasket connector there, so it pretty much makes it waterproof, or at least very water resistant type of thing. So I do recommend doing these on pretty much all your connections. Like it takes a few seconds to just put this sleeve on. I usually even do them for indoor cameras or whatever, wherever it's going now, just because it's not a big deal, and it you know, protects things, protects the connectors and stuff like that. So that is how to crimp down an RJ45, and this is what I recommend if you're going to do one of these installs, because you can get these crimpers and connectors, you know, cheap on Amazon or wherever. So it's just ends up being worth it to me to buy the crimper, buy the cable in bulk in a big box. It's, you know, it's the same price as or cheaper than doing pre-made cables, and you know, you can use that box for another project or whatever and save yourself some cabling. Okay, there we go. That's good, and we'll get on to the next one right away. Okay, thanks.